Hey, howdy, hey, welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's get this show on the road. This is B2B Hour on Auto Conversion. This is a monthly webcast series that we do here we facilitate here for B2B marketing and sales professionals. So this includes business leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, and I got to make sure my monitor's working because that's really important. So let's just hang on one sec. There we go. I think we are good. All right. Let's start that all over. So this is our monthly webcast series. We facilitate here for B2B marketing and sales professionals. That includes business owners, business leaders, entrepreneurs. That's you. You are in the right place. Today is Wednesday, August 10th, 2022. I am Ryan Girardi, your host, and thank you for joining us. Maybe this is your first time here. Maybe you're a regular. We are glad that you are here. Our general theme for the show, for what we do here, is how to stay connected and engaged with customers, strategic partners, and your employees. We offer a pretty unique product here on Auto Conversion to help you do this. Whether you are the owner or you are just a leader within your organization, you have something to benefit from here on Auto Conversion. So we invite you here to learn, to network, and to grow your professional brand, your network, your online reputation. Now, last month, let me get a little bit more centered here for everybody. One second. All right. I look centered on my screen, but on my monitor, I look less centered. So, what can you do? What can you do? Last month, our focus was on content monetization and ownership with Web3. Pretty good episode. Great guests on that. Great conversation. We'll have bits and pieces of that show coming out over the next few weeks, but you can always catch the replays if you get the link to the show. As soon as the live stream ends, the video is unlisted. So the only way to get access to the recordings is by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and you'll automatically get that. You can also look down here right at the bottom here. You can text the keyword auto conversion to 855-766-7585. That'll opt you in to receive SMS alerts, and we will send you this link. This is really puzzling. My monitor shows my face half covered, so I hope that it's not, but I think that it might be if I go more this way. We have a lot going on today. We're going to focus on 3 key areas of opportunity for small businesses. That's going to be our panel discussions that starts at the bottom of the hour. Specifically, we're going to be looking at the idea of remote work and remote production. This is remote production. We're going to talk briefly about private digital communities. And then we're going to touch on how blockchain is impacting B2B businesses as well. Our guests include, I have Adam Thrasher. He's a marketing and sales pro in the automotive industry, software industry. And Ron Sandell, a regular here on B2B Hour. He's a sales manager in Pharmatech, also a sales performance coach. So sit back, relax, hang tight, and we'll get started in just a moment. All right, what I'm going to do is just a quick overview of things. And then we've got some kind of industry developments we're going to go through. But to kick things off, you ask 5 people the state of the economy right now, you will probably get 10 different answers. We've got news about record inflation, people struggling to make ends meet, all sandwiched between stories about record corporate profits and businesses offering higher wages and sign-on bonuses. Yet there's extensive layoffs everywhere. So what is really going on? But more importantly, what is the state of the economy for small businesses? We could define that as 500 employees or fewer. You could define that as Main Street businesses. But what's the state of the economy for these small businesses and entrepreneurs, which have historically been the backbone of local economies. I'm a big proponent of small businesses, local businesses. And I think we see that in the world today as global corporatism is really becoming almost like dictatorship through the marketplace. We're seeing that. So I'm a big proponent of small businesses. Let's get into some facts though. Companies large and small are laying off employees. Walmart, here, let me bring this up right here. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. Walmart, uh, arguably one of the most successful and profitable companies in the country, is cutting hundreds of corporate workers. I think at the corporate offices, not so much at the retail. Its profit projections are going. What else we got? There is Ford. Where is the Ford one? Ford is cutting 8,000 jobs. Now, fortunately, with the new Inflation Reduction Act that just got passed by the Biden administration, there's some new jobs with the IRS. There's going to be about 87,000 auditor jobs with the IRS. So if you're getting laid off right now, have faith. There's an opportunity to go work for the feds. Substack is laying off 14% of its workforce, and their market's uncertain, as you can see. Let's look at this list here. There's a lot in here. Let's see. Makeup brand Glossier laid off around 24 employees just this month. Second round of layoffs this year. Video game developer Jam City laying off about 200 employees. You've got real estate tech platform Doma laid off staff in May. Cannabis tech Weed Maps, childcare management app Brightwheel, analytics software platform Sisu, payments processor Fiserv. I already mentioned Walmart. Robinhood, the online brokerage, laid off 23% of its staff just so far this year. Vox Media has laid off 39 employees. I mean, look at this list. 7-Eleven, over 800 corporate employees after it just bought Speedway. I'm a Speedway customer. I've noticed 7-Eleven invading there. Wearable tech maker Whoop laying off 15% of its workforce. I mean, I could go on. I mean, these are massive layoffs, and the economy is really giving some mixed signals. Here's a piece here. I use LinkedIn, by the way. You can see it on the side here. A lot of good stuff come out of here. I like this breakdown by Andrew Wang. What he says is that the old rules of valuation no longer apply, and the new situation bears little similarity to past disasters. Now, he says the good news is unemployment rate's very low, which seems like an oxymoron with all the layoffs going on. He says GDP growth forecasts remain positive. Not so sure about that, considering we've had 2 consecutive declines in GDP, which historically would be identified as a recession. But with the unemployment rate as low as it is, and spending seeming pretty high, there's argument as to whether we're in a recession or not. He lists out some negatives. Central banks remain hawkish. Consumer sentiment, not so great. People are struggling to make ends meet, so we're buying the necessities versus luxuries, if you will. I just talked about the layoffs. So his assessment is that the negatives outweigh the positive. And frankly, I don't consider this one a positive, that forecasts remain positive for GDP, because they clearly do not. Clearly do not. Let me get back to here. So small businesses, which tend to be more flexible, that gives an advantage in difficult times like this. This is a point that was, I think, driven home during the COVID-19 pandemic, when many small businesses were forced to close operations. But in a business landscape that has changed with a surge in what I call solopreneurism, not entrepreneurialism, but solopreneurialism, you got things like the gig economy. This world is so different. I mean, having grown up for me in the 80s and 90s, and launching a career in the early 2000s, yeah, this is a very, very different time. Now, what I have here, let me go back to here. We're going to look at a list. We have 11 current small business trends and forecasts for this year to watch out for. I'm going to bring that up and go through that in a few minutes, and then we're going to break that down a little bit as well. Before I go any further, let me just take a brief moment to give shouts out to one of our sponsors that you see here on the show. Smart Pixel by M1 Data and Analytics turns your anonymous website visitors into fully identified first-party consumer data. And when this match and identification takes place, Smart Pixel can return up to 300 attributes on your website visitor, on the consumer. So you'll get standard information like name and postal address, email, gender, date of birth, but you'll also get more specific details like home ownership and vehicle ownership. You can get political party affiliation, presence of children in the household, just to name a few. So with industry stats that indicate more than 50% of your website visitors are non-human clicks. Did you know that? Most of your website traffic, at least half of it, is not even human beings clicking it, so don't be fooled. But of the remaining traffic, about 5% or fewer, less, I should say, converts to a lead or a contact. Well, Smart Pixel quickly provides a tremendous opportunity for increased ROI on your marketing dollars as your business can now identify and engage with the 95% that were previously anonymous. So think about that. So check it out, Smart Pixel, real-time information about your website, easy to install and fully GDPR and CCPA compliant. Head on over to autoconversion.net/smart pixel. That's SmartPixel and get more information. Okay, let's transition over. Bring my screen back up here. And I'm going to go through a handful of these trends briefly. And then what we will do is I'm going to bring Adam and Ron on, and we're going to get into some discussion points with the two of them around 3 of these things. So let's look here. Before the pandemic, people's outlook towards starting a small business seemed to be high. Millennials, Gen Zers, trying to get into the action. And there were many reasons for this, but COVID-19 kind of had an impact on that. Impact, obviously, on public health and the world economy. Lots been devastated. For small businesses, the pandemic has and will likely be one of the worst crises it will ever face. I'm sure we can all relate to that. I have fresh in my mind what happened to this business within the first few months of the pandemic and what it's been like over the last couple of years just working through that. Let's look at some of these trends. The average amount needed to start a small business, entrepreneurial business, $15K, a micro business, $3K, home-based franchise, $2K. That's interesting because I looked at some franchises, not home-based franchises, so I think that's key. Some of the franchise business I looked at over the past year, you were looking at a good 60 to 80 or 100K investment to get into those. What are some of the leading motivations for opening a business in the US? Ready to be your own boss? I'll be the first to tell you, if you think having your own business means you don't have a boss anymore, then that means you're not going to have customers. I think a lot of us fall into that trap thinking we don't have a boss. No, when you have your own business, your customers are your boss. Pursue a passion, 23%. I've heard people say, hey, if you want to make money in this world, you better forget about your passion and do what people are going to pay for. And there's a lot of merit to that. I like this one. Dissatisfied with corporate America, 12%. I would venture to bet there's more than 12% of people that are dissatisfied with corporate America. And if you are satisfied with corporate America, that's great. That means you found a good place to be. I don't know. Most people I know, not too keen. I shouldn't say that. There's, everyone has their own definition of satisfaction in corporate America. Here's one, 6% laid off or outsourced. As we just saw, all these layoffs are occurring. But here's what I'd like to do. Let me go back into this piece here. I've pulled out three key areas that stood out for me within this list of 11. I'm not going to go through all of them. The first one lands at number 5. I'll go down here, and it refers to remote work. And I'm going to play a video in a moment by Malcolm Gladwell, who's taking a lot of heat, author Malcolm Gladwell, for coming out and slamming the idea of COVID work. But let's look at some facts around remote work. Work situation of American adults during the pandemic in April 2020 did not work outside the home previously was at 31%. Worked remotely or from home and still do is at 20%. Did not work from home was at 17, and didn't, but still go to work. And did not go work from home and still not going to work is right around the same. So what the study suggests is that the interest in remote work is going to continue to climb. And I think that's accurate. I can attest for my business that pre-pandemic, I was on the road about 2 to 3 times a month. I was doing in-person visits at mostly dealerships and software companies around the country, events and conferences, very, very active and busy. And then when everything went to lockdown, we had to go fully remote. And frankly, we've continued to do that. Now I'm in a studio. I don't know if you can see, but I'm in a studio. So am I working remotely? I guess not technically, but I'm doing the show remotely, and all of our guests are logging on remotely. And so I wanted to emphasize that here you are looking at a business, I'm referring to auto conversion, where all of our live production is done remotely. We use StreamYard for people to join in. So when Adam and Ron come on, they're logged into the remote studio. That's what I call it. It's the remote studio. And you know what? Before I add any more to that, let me play this video. It's a short one of Malcolm Gladwell talking about remote work. Hopefully it comes on properly. I've had a hard time with this site and this video. Let's see. Let's turn this off. Give me a second here. I might have to switch. Nope. I tell you what, I have the hardest time with videos on these sites because these sites are so full of ads. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share a different screen. By the way, StreamYard, I think that your screen sharing could use a bit of work. Just saying. I'm going to refresh this page and see if it brings me the video back that we're supposed to have. Let me put this back on screen. All right, let's check out this short clip. Look at all these ads I have to deal with. It's ridiculous. And then you got this video here on the side. There's an ad on top of a video. This is what our world's come to. Look at all the ads on here. You guys, this is sick. And this is going to lead into where I'm headed with some of this show. All right, let's see if it'll play this for us. Where's the volume? There it is.
Feeling of belonging.
All right, start this over.
As we face the battle that all organizations are facing now in getting people back into the office, that it's really hard to explain this core psychological truth, which is we want you to have a feeling of belonging and to feel necessary. We want you to join our team. And if you're not here, it's really hard to do that. It's not in your best interest to work at home. I know it's a hassle to come to the office, but if you're just sitting in your pajamas in your bedroom, is that the work life you want to live? Right? Don't you want to feel part of something? I mean, I'm really getting very frustrated with the inability of people in positions of leadership to explain this effectively to their employees. That if we don't feel like we're part of something important, what's the point? You're not just doing this to get a pay. If it's just a paycheck, then it's like, then what have you reduced your life to?
Okay, that's Malcolm Gladwell. Now he's taken a ton of heat for that. He's taken a lot of heat for that. I'm going to share a different screen now that is difficult to switch to. I don't know why they make it so difficult. Let's try this. We want to go here. Nope, I got to reset it all. I'm going to play now a clip by Jamie Dimon. He is the CEO of Chase. And let me bring that up here. Nope. I picked the wrong one again. I apologize, guys. It should not be this difficult. All right, let's try this again. Share screen. Go here. We want, here he comes. All right. This is about 2 minutes long, but listen to what he has to say. It's partially in response to Malcolm Gladwell. He's not disagreeing with Gladwell's position, even though Malcolm Gladwell took a ton of heat from people saying they are working in their pajamas and just fine. And even Malcolm Gladwell works remotely, but he's not working in a corporate job. I think he's referring to people that have an office to go to for a company. Here's Jamie Dimon, Chase CEO. On the subject.
You should react to the fact that Omicron's worse, that Delta's worse, but we think the value to being in the office is very high. We've been urging people to get back, not forcing it. We want people to be vaccinated. The trading floors are probably back to fully occupied. And even now, they're probably, I mean, I actually don't know the number, but I'm saying they're 90 or 85% occupied. With Omicron being so prevalent, we've said to people, okay, the first couple of weeks in January, get your manager approval to stay home. But our goal is the same: return to the office. Obviously, be flexible based on local laws and local requirements. Certain buildings we're going to be able to go all vaxxed. Other buildings we can't for a whole bunch of, it could be local reasons. It could be that not enough of the population is vaxxed. Remember, we have clients to serve. We're not being consistent. And as we go back to work, of course, there'll be more hybrid and flexibility. But I just want to remind your workers, because when I listen to the press, it's like everyone's working from home. There are 160 million people or 155 million people who have jobs. 100 million plus have been going to work this whole time. Police, firemen, military, sanitation workers.
That's a really good point right there. Retail workers.
Manufacturing, UPS, FedEx, logistics, Amazon, bank branches, CVS, Walgreens. So there's notion that the whole world is working. It's just not right. It's the other 40 million who had the luxury of working from home. And a part of that could become permanent. Some could be 100%, some could be 50. We don't have to decide right away. I think people they're rushing to judgment. There does not need to be a judgment. As we can figure out what jobs make sense at home and what jobs don't make sense, and where you need to come and collaborate, we'll figure tools and stuff so that people have a little bit more flexibility and a little bit more hybrid. But no one will ever convince me that face-to-face interaction, like when I come to Silicon Valley where I am today, I'm going to meet a bunch of people today. I'm going to get so much smarter about using technology and what we're doing and what competitors are doing. And I can't do it by Zoom. I'm tired of Zoom, to tell you the truth. And this meeting, I may make this my last Zoom public appearance.
So again, Jamie Dimon there responding. Oh, come on. That's so annoying. So we're gonna tap into that idea during our panel discussion in a few moments. Moving on in that list. Let me bring up that list again for you folks so you could see it here. Go back to boom. The second point in there that I wanted to elaborate on was the idea of enterprise, leveraging technology, but I think that's very broad. Here's number 6, leveraging technology. Now, what stood out for me is it has a list here of the top, there it is. The most popular enterprise social networking software. You got Slack, Yammer, Clarizen, Workplace by Facebook, and Zimbra. I thought Microsoft had a tool as well, but I don't see it listed here, and the name of it's not coming to mind. Here's why this stood out for me. We use Slack here at AutoConversion. If you go back to our website, you'll see it right there. We have our own workspace in Slack. And, do we use it for social networking? I mean, I guess so, yeah, because it is our member network. When you go to our member page, you'll see that we have premium membership that starts at only $25 a month. And part of that license, that pro license, gets you access to our Slack group, our Slack workspace. And look what we have here. We have, for the podcast, the AutoConverse podcast, we have all these different channels where we pump information. And so when you're a Slack user, you have access to all of that. We have a few blogs that automatically subscribe into Slack. You can see I've loaded the AutoConversion blog automatically here. This is our show. We have a couple different shows. And so the archives to those shows get put in there. Oh, look, there's a picture of the studio from a couple of weeks ago for this show. Then we have our main channels: advertising, automotive, consumer experience, cybersecurity, finance, investments, industry. I mean, we have all these different places. And what this is we pump information in there. But let me go to the next section. Look down here. These are private channels. If you look at our website, I'm going to go over here and look at all of our mastermind groups, which, by the way, if you see any of these that you like when you go here, go ahead and sign up for them. There's no strings attached. There's no cost to sign up. What they'll do is it'll tag you in our system, and that'll allow you to start receiving information about these different groups, because these groups meet on Clubhouse. Each one meets, on Clubhouse usually once a month. We do private roundtables, and guess where we do them? We do them right here in Slack. So you can see like there's private groups here in Slack, and that's where we do our roundtables. Sometimes we use audio only and video only. And then there's our member network. And so you can access, have access to any other members within the Slack community. So that's what stood out for me, is leveraging technology. If you have a look at just even our homepage, you'll see the tech stack that our members, when you're a premium member with auto conversion, you have access to all this incredible technology. And look, Slack is right in there. So if you're looking for a partner to help you leverage these incredible technologies to create content, to create media for your public relations strategy, you've come to the right place for that. The third thing I wanted to focus on, and then we're going to lead into our discussion in just a moment, was the idea of being cash free or just cashless. And what they're referring to in this post or in this section here, I think is more for like retail companies and obviously digital companies that are not, I should just focus on brick and mortar, about not receiving cash. Is that going to go away? I'll put this out there. You might not be into cryptocurrency, but all things considered, what crypto boils down to is the ability to transfer money from one hand to another like you would with cash. And cryptocurrency basically gives you that capability. If you go to a venue and they accept Bitcoin or Dogecoin or some coin, and you can transfer that to them, there's no middleman in that. That's cashless, but it's the equivalent of transferring cash from hand to hand. And we just this year, I'll bring up this article, we started accepting cryptocurrency as a form of payment here on auto conversion. So in fact, if you look, going back to our member programs, I'll show you right here as it loads. Now, these are PayPal subscriptions right now, but if you go to yearly, boom, you can pay for these two plans with crypto. It's pretty cool. You can just go here and it'll send you to a page and it'll show you how you can actually make that purchase with cryptocurrency. And we're not stopping here. This is just one direction that we're headed to start accepting crypto as a form of payment. So yeah, check that out. That's linked to here from the article. And what I'm going to do is we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to play a wellness mindset tip. And then when I come back, we're going to have Adam Thrasher and Ron Sandell on, and we'll kind of talk through all these things and let you hear about these subject points from their experience as well. We'll be right back.
I think the last couple of years have really shown people that easy times are not guaranteed. I know we were coming off of like a really, what I would consider like nationally a pretty easy run. It was easy to put up a shingle and set up shop and get things going and experience some success. And the last couple of years really rocked that. And just prior to that, most of us can remember what things were like in 2007 and 2008. And some of us even can remember what it was like in 99, and around that time, if you've been in business long enough. And I think it's really important to remind, especially the up and coming generations of entrepreneurs and marketers, that adversity is going to be there, and it's going to. We've learned that it's going to show up in a bunch of different ways, and the more you can prepare yourself mentally for that adversity, the better you situate yourself for capitalizing on successful moments when they arise. It's metaphorical death, but then you have to face that, and you have to say to yourself, okay, how do we fix this? How do we make ourselves okay with that catastrophic failure?
Well, hey. I guess I better uncover myself. There we go. Ron, Adam, welcome to B2B Hour. Good to see you, boys.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate
How's it going?
Good. Adam, meet Ron. This is the first time you two are meeting.
How you doing, Ron?
Hey, Adam, how's it going?
Great, thank you.
And folks, this is great because I just showed you Slack, which is two things for us. It's a member directory. It's basically what we call a private digital community, which I'm going to speak to. But it's also our on-demand content library. So like that video I just showed, we make probably 3 to 5 or more of those types of videos on a monthly basis for our premium members. And B2B Hour is a chance for you guys to meet each other. So, now when you see each other in Slack, you'll know who each other are and what you do. And it's a good opportunity for you both to get to know each other. All right. I want to dive into remote work. I can tell from your backgrounds that you two are probably from your home offices. Ron, I know you're on the road a lot. When you're not on the road, are you at corporate headquarters? Are you at an official office? Or are you at a home office?
Home office.
And was it that way for you pre-pandemic?
Yes.
It was. Okay. So you've always worked in your mind remotely.
Pretty much 30 years.
Okay.
Approximately.
All right. And you watched the video from Malcolm Gladwell. What's your response?
Well, I mean, I guess as a kid growing up, cutting lawns in the neighborhood, working on a golf course on the maintenance crew, working at a garden center with a flower shop, making deliveries. I've always been out and about, sort of on my own. So I think sales was sort of a natural transition. I think that, while I kind of agree with Malcolm Gladwell, and, he's a genius, right? So, I mean, he's definitely somebody who's studied the data and knows a lot of these things. I think to some degree he's right, but I think, times are changing, right? I mean, you go out in the public and you see a family at dinner and anybody under 30 is probably, on their cell phone the majority of the dinner, or it's sitting right on the table or in their hand. So I think times are changing. I think when my oldest son, when he was first, growing up, my father-in-law gave him some video games on a disc, right? Pop into the computer, pop up on the screen. And I was a little worried about, that. And my father-in-law basically said, that these kids' lives are going to be spent in front of screens. So there's really no way to slow it down. And he was right. We are today. And I think it is what you make of it, though, right? Like, I always talk to my sales teams about networking with, those that are doing things better than you are, those that are doing things differently than you are. Learn from your peers, network, grow. I mean, that's what this is all about, right? That's what Clubhouse is all about. All of these kind of things. So you can be part of your network, part of your team, without actually being with your team all the time. And I think sales professionals have succeeded in that very well. And maybe it lends itself to the sales representative, who's typically really good at conversing with people, communicating with people of all walks of life to get to where they need to get to within their sales process. So while I agree with him in some industries, I disagree with him. And at the same token, this uncertainty, it's really based on redesigning all of the models that we've always known. Think about these large corporate centers with massive organizations and buildings with hundreds of people in cubicles. They're empty, right? Or they're almost empty right now. And all of these layoffs that you talked about early on in the show today, Ryan, I think it's just businesses finding ways to be more efficient with their time, their energy, and their money. And they're using economies of scale finally to do that. And it's going to result in layoffs, but it's also going to result in opportunity for those that are laid off. Heck, if you're an accounting person and you get laid off, go join the IRS, right? So that's what I have to say about that for now. Hope that's been helpful.
Yeah, it is, and I want to chime in, but I want to hear Adam's response as well, and then we'll get more into discussion. Adam, you're working how long? You're working remotely now. What is your day-to-day like? Are you out in the field? Do you have an office, a corporate headquarters to go to, or are you able to get everything done remotely pretty much day to day?
Most of my work is done remotely. We do have a corporate office in Cincinnati that we've got a few folks there full time. But for what I do and what I've done for the last 12, 15 years in the automotive space, nearly everything I can do, all my work stuff I can do on my phone, like Ron was talking about. So I kind of side with Rod. I think it's more about what you do. Obviously, a service profession, first responders, those guys, they have to be at work, right? They have to be. There is no choice. But for a lot of us, people that have office jobs, if you've got internet and you're productive, what does it matter where you are? If you're on a beach somewhere, or if you're traveling the world or whatever, there's companies out there like Remote Year that you can sign up and go work abroad for a year, and as long as you've got internet, you're good to go. My wife works for the federal government, and she's been remote for the last 2 years, and they've got an office. She works for the VA hospital system, and they've got an office here in town that used to house 600 people, and it's empty.
Wow. And
you think about the amount of money that governments and businesses spend on office space. I mean, just think about how much they can save if they do go remote, or even to a hybrid system and reduce the amount of space that they're leasing or own or whatever. I think the pandemic has really taught people and businesses how to streamline and become more efficient. And if your workforce can be as efficient and productive at home as they are at the office, then why waste money on office space?
So it sounds like you disagree with Malcolm Gladwell. You disagree. I want to converse on this a little bit and maybe challenge some of the retorts. Let's take a few moments, since you're new, Adam, here to B2B Hour. Give us a 30-second idea of what you do, who you're working for, and I'll ask you a couple of questions. But why don't you just update us on, what you're doing in the B2B world and with your company?
Sure. Yeah. So I work for a company called iPreCheck. We work with automotive dealers. Primarily, we've got some a license with TransUnion and integration with Black Book, and basically we've got a couple of solutions that allow us to help dealerships, basically get more leads and more opportunities at their store. So our biggest thing that has worked the best for the last year or so is our service to sales solution. Basically, customer comes in your service drive, doesn't matter if they bought a car from you or not. We do a soft pull of their credit, find their credit snapshot, And then we also give them an instant cash offer on the Black Book. And since we integrate with their accounting system or their DMS, it's all real time. So, I know obviously inventory shortage is a big thing. So we've been helping dealers, acquire vehicles and help people, trade in, trade up, get a newer car at a better rate and, lower payment type thing. And of course, we've got some other solutions as far as the showroom that allow them to scan a driver's license to do the same thing, and then some website tools that do that as well. So for what I do, as long as I have internet, I can talk to my dealers. Of course, I go travel a fair amount, a couple times a quarter to visit them. But like I said, for the most part, it's all remote.
Can you get a little more specific into the technology? Because you've explained it to me. This is sophisticated technology, and when I brought up that list of 11 things that small businesses, small business trends, one of them was leveraging technology. So you're saying car dealers are using iPrecheck. Can you get more specific into maybe the mechanics of how that technology works?
Sure. I don't know if everybody on the broadcast knows what an API is, but basically it's an interface with two softwares that allows them to talk back and forth instantaneously. So we've got API integration with TransUnion and Black Book. So, and then we've also got integrations with the dealership's accounting system, their DMS, and their CRM. So we're combining a tech stack for this dealership to allow them in real time to look at somebody's credit snapshot to see, the vehicle that they're driving right now. When did they buy it? What's their rate? What's their term? Excuse me. And then at the same time, we're pinging the vehicle information off of Black Book, which is live real-time market-based values that the dealer has access to. And we're basically, the moment the RO opens, we generate communication that goes out to the customer that elicits a response to get them to sell their vehicle to the dealership. And then the dealership can look at all that information in their CRM to see, is that person in an equitable position? Can they reduce their payment? Can they get them into a newer car? So on and so forth. Or, do they just want to sell their vehicle? So they can do that as well. But yeah, it's the tech stack like you were talking about. Put that tech stack together to make it work for you. I know a lot of dealerships that don't have that, and they've got a BDC team that sits in service and looks at all their service customers coming in, and they'll see what kind of vehicle they've got. But unless they sold the vehicle to that customer, they don't know, does the customer own it? Do they lease it? Do they finance it? What's the rate? All that stuff. So, I've been in automotive for a long time, and I've always looked for tools to, simplify my life and my job. And, it's really cool to be able to work with this company and allow dealers to, basically just put this thing on automatic and, help them acquire vehicles and sell more cars.
So if a dealer did not have the software to do what you do, could they still accomplish what they need to without technology?
They could look in their DMS to see if, when they've got a customer coming into service, like let's say they had an appointment for the next day. So certainly if the customer bought the vehicle from them, they could look in their DMS or their CRM to see, when did they buy it, the rate, all that good stuff. And then they could look at a, evaluation tool like vAuto, KBB, Black Book, any of the number of ones that are out there. But you have to duct tape all those solutions together and spend hours and hours of time, trying to figure out, of the umpteen people that come through your service drive each day, which ones should I go after? Whereas with the technology, it's automated and you get an alert anytime, somebody says, yes, I want to buy my car, or this is a customer that their lease is expiring in 2 months and they're going to have to get a new car. So, that's the type of stuff, that's the type of stuff that technology allows you to do. And just, it frees up so much time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're aware, you've got a heck of a tech stack, and You couldn't do your job without it, right? Or you
Well,
need three of you to do it.
Yeah, I tout that. I tout on Auto Conversion. I mean, we are offering people access to through incredibly powerful technology, such as StreamYard, such as Slack, such as Vimeo, YouTube, which is an incredible platform, and we help people with that technology. And it's funny. I find no matter how much technology I have, you still have to administer it and maintenance it, and there is overhead with technology. So, and that what I think what technology does is allows us to be more efficient in some areas, but then we just find other problems that we need more efficiency for, and we create this infinite loop of not actually freeing ourselves up of more time. And that actually leads to something that I did want to bring up a little bit later in the discussion, although we are down to our last 12 minutes here. So thank you for sharing that. I'm going to bring Ron back in here. Going back to remote work, I think what Gladwell was getting at is that we might be able to get our work done efficiently from home in our pajamas. That might be true, but the sense of belonging, the sense of community, that in-person experience cannot be replaced. Now, when Jamie Dimon referred to like UPS and FedEx drivers and Amazon drivers, people out in the field, he was implying that they're going to the office. That's not remote work, but they're not going to an office and sitting, in a headquarters, in a cubicle or whatever. They're out on the field interacting with people. So, I don't think that qualifies as remote work or in office work. But Ron, you brought up a good point. We've got skyscrapers in all major cities that are empty and vacant because businesses have found ways to continue to profit without all the workers in the building. And so they're able to really cut and eliminate a tremendous amount of cost. So, whether Gladwell's, like I said, I think he was focused more on that sense of belonging and purpose. So let me ask you this, Ron, do you ever feel like you need people in person, community, as from your work, your coworkers? Do you ever feel like you don't have a sense of belonging?
Well, I mean, like I was mentioning earlier in sales, like salespeople are out and about meeting and visiting with customers and prospects. So they need to be face to face, but we certainly can do some of the sales process virtually and remotely, right? I mean, if we have a new prospect on our radar and, why spend a lot of time and energy chasing them down if they're just not going to be that interested versus getting them while they're pretty interested onto a virtual meeting to find out if they're actually really interested in moving forward. You can save a lot of time, you can save a lot of money, and you can save a lot of energy and focus on more positive opportunities. That's sales, and that's my world. So that's very different. My daughter, take her as an example. She's an interior design, interior architect type. She sits in front of two computers all day and designs hotel spaces and restaurant spaces and things like that. They can do their meetings virtually and share their drawings, their whatever that they have to share that way. And in all reality, they can really function pretty well without being part of like a team in person, so to speak. So I don't know. I think it's just different for different types of industries, but certainly some are figuring out how to do it better, more efficiently, generate more revenue, and unfortunately, some people are going to lose jobs because they're just not necessary for some of these companies.
I would just push back and say that it also, when jobs get eliminated because of things like technology, that just creates other opportunities and types of work. So, I don't see that as a motivator to not. Anytime you can eliminate someone's work, I think to some extent that's good because it's innovation and there's a more efficient way, and things do have to evolve. I listened to a podcast just coming in. There's a story about these two cranial connected twins, I think in South America, and their brains were actually born together, fused together. And so they had to separate these twins. I think they were around 3 years old, and they had to perform a bunch of surgeries to do that. Well, to practice for the do you want a doctor going into your child's head and doing surgery for the first time? No, you don't. And so what they did was they created 3D printed models of each child's brain, and then they used virtual reality and a remote doctor leading the surgeons to practice on the 3D models. And they were doing it remotely through virtual reality. So again, that just drives home the point that we have technology. And I think Jamie Dimon was emphasizing this in what he was saying is like, there is no end game. There is no verdict of if this or that. He's like, we're just all going to have to adapt and find ways to embrace and incorporate remote work when it's necessary, and when it's not necessary, we need to be there. And so I think Jamie Dimon sized that up pretty well. Ron, you have a Substack, which I'm going to bring up. It's called Ron's Top Sales Performers. You recently did a post about the STAR method. Could you take a moment to enlighten us on what the STAR method is, where it comes from, and maybe even how you utilize it in your work?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, the STAR method it's been around for I don't know, ages, I would say, and I've always used it, and I've always looked for it in the interview process as a way to pretty quickly and efficiently explain a scenario, right? So if somebody were to ask an interviewee, tell me about your toughest sale, right? As a sales rep. And it would be very logical if they followed this method. They describe the situation, right? Here's the scenario. And then they would move into, the task was, what did I have to do? Like what were some of the goals? The action would be the specifics the specific tasks to achieve your goal. And then the result will be the goal of that sales interaction. But I think, and what I wrote about in this article is, I think it can actually be used in everyday conversation in business, not just in the interview scenario where it's been sort of touted over the years. And I just feel like it could help people interact so much better, so much more efficiently, because people are being pulled in different directions. Time is our only kind of our most finite resource, right? There's only so many hours in the day. And for some of us, there's only so many hours in the day that you can actually be making sales calls. In the medical field where my teams are, the doctors are only in the office or the surgery suite certain times of the day, right? So it's not even a 24-hour day. It's maybe an 8 or 9 hour day. But even interactions, rep to sales rep to manager, anybody in any field, I think can really help speed along that process by really succinctly and clearly defining what the scenario of the situation is, what some of the tasks might be needed to accomplish the goal, what the strategy might be, and some specific actions that need to be taken or could be taken, and then to summarize the result. I just think it's a good way to communicate, very efficient. And I always love it when I'm interviewing people and they really tell a story very quickly and simply like that.
Thank you. I'm curious, Adam, are you familiar at all with the STAR method? Is that a new or a familiar term for you?
Yeah, it's new to me. I like it though. I'm gonna have to do some research and learn more about it.
Yeah, I think it lays it out pretty concisely, right? Identify the situation, list out how to approach a situation, be clear about the actions, and that could be multiple people, right? It could be you do this, I do that, she does this, he does that, and then look at the results. It's a good structure, and I agree. It reminds me of how your resume should be, right? Everyone wants results on your resume, but sometimes you have to identify, here's the problem, and here's how I solved it, and this was the end result. But you said it's handy in interviews, but also, yeah, in everyday life. Maybe our mainstream culture can apply some STAR method to to how we
Good
communicate amongst each other.
Salespeople are strange, though. So yeah,
That makes too much sense, Ryan.
Yeah, you never know.
Let me bring up one final thing here. This is just on the surface, posing the question. Oops, I got to share my screen, don't I? Hold on one sec. And come back. There we go. Social media could be changing us. So it's kind of the inverse thinking of, well, how did they put it? Let me read how they put it. Are we consuming media, or are the mediums we use consuming us? What you've heard Elon Musk talk about, say, no, that's not going to work. Elon Musk say we need to be frightened of AI. AI is going to get the best of us, or AI could destroy us. It's an existential threat. A lot of people dismiss that. Oh, it's not. Things we see in AI, and to distinguish that from machine learning, I think those they tend to be synonymous. Machine learning is what it implies. A machine learns, a script or a system can learn from inputs, continued inputs, and it can make then AI can make decisions with those inputs. So in effect, AI becomes a decision-making entity. Now, there is a Google former employee, who has come out publicly stating that Google's AI has become sentient, meaning intelligent and independent on its own. You got a lot of pushback for that. But when you think about, is social media consuming us? Ron, I think it was you mentioning, like, everyone's on their screens now, right? You see it a lot. You know what amazes me? When you go to a restaurant, it amazes me how many people are sitting there at a table and they're all on their phones, especially the kids. Especially the kids are like not eating. They got food next to them, they're not eating. I had a couple in their 30s the other day. I saw them, and like they were in the middle of their meals, both on their phones, just like scooping away. So yeah, I mean, we're in a crazy time. Now, we're using a screen and a medium to interact and communicate. So I don't feel like we're being consumed by social media. But I don't know, Adam, what are your thoughts on that? Are we being consumed by artificial intelligence at this stage?
Well, I mean, there's a good documentary that was put out on Netflix a couple years ago called The Social Dilemma. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend watching it. Kind of came out right about the same time as the election, and not to get into politics or anything, but I do believe that, the way Facebook's algorithm works, the more stuff you interact with and comment on and like, and, you kind of get yourself into your own bubble. So if, regardless of your politics, whichever way you lean, if you start going one direction and getting engaged with that type of content, Facebook sees it, and they're just going to start pushing more of that information to you, right? Like all the social media platforms do that. The more you interact with something, the more it shows you, right? So it's just fueling the beast. And me personally, I'm not a conspiracy theorist or anything like that, but I truly believe that it's definitely divided the country more so than it used to be before social media was such a big thing. Because now obviously everybody's got a voice, everybody's always had a voice, but social media amplifies that, and it's just it's made the country a lot more divisive than it used to be, in my opinion.
That is probably inarguable. I would say it's definitely made us more divisive. It's not like there's one or a group of people like what was it, the social dilemma that you mentioned?
Mhm.
It kind of
Yeah.
created a dramatization of two people in a room, talking and making decisions on, when to pull the lever and what to show. It was a dramatization to say, this is what AI is doing.
Yeah.
AI has a goal, which is on social media, is engagement. Why? Because it
The
can
longer
sell
you're on their
advertising
platform, the more ads you can
and
see.
more ads. And you saw me trying to play these videos on these websites.
Right.
There were just
Yeah,
ads riddled
Google,
everywhere.
all these companies are ad companies. They're not social media companies. Google is an advertising company. Google is not a search engine. And I even saw an article yesterday, I think I shared it with you, Ryan, about millennials are using Snapchat and TikTok as their search engine now.
Right.
So those platforms are even, going to generate even more revenue because they've got people that are just on their platform constantly, like you said, even at the dinner table, just doing this, consuming all that content, engaging. And that's what the companies want, right?
Yep.
They want you on their platform so they can sell you ads, or so they can show you ads so they can sell them to advertisers.
Yeah. So yeah, we're being consumed. What do you think, Ron? We're being consumed?
Yeah, I think so.
I have a solution for us.
What's
Adam, you know what the solution is. I'm not going to be apologetic about it. I think I have been. I've experimented over the past 2 years. And pulled away from social media kind of slowly. For instance, I stopped posting to like Facebook and Instagram, just generally speaking, just kind of went dormant and quiet. I stopped really communicating on there. After about a year, I I took the apps off my phone. And what I found was that my motivation for it is that these, as you call ad companies, their currency, right? Their currency is the ability to predict what we might do, what we might buy, and where we might go. It's our predictive nature, and the one thing that helps our predictive nature be evident is what we're doing, like where we're going. I've always said one of my favorite features. I use an iPhone. I like when I get in the car, and Apple Maps kind of has an idea based on the time of day where I might be going, right? Because of my patterns. And I like that. It's like 12 minutes to your destination because this is where you normally go. And it's kind of cool. It's like your little pal. But it's that predictive information that's so valuable to these companies. So my solution to that is get these apps off your phone. I know you can't use TikTok, I think, without your phone. Same thing with Snapchat and even Clubhouse. And so you do have to pick and choose. But I do believe that if we all made some minor sacrifices and got some of these apps off our phone and even curbed our use, if 25% of users curbed their use and got these apps off their phone, I'd be curious to see what that would do. Would that be a punch in the gut to AI? I think we have more power than people realize. I don't know. What do you think, Ron? Do you see the power that we have and how to use it?
Yeah, but I mean, they're so addictive, right? Because everybody wants to. Well, not everybody. I would say that a lot of people are, they'll post things and then they'll look to see how many views, how many likes. I'm guilty of it too. How many comments, if any, how many shares, whatever the platform that you're on. So it's like immediate gratification, and people want to be heard. They want to feel like they're making an impact, and these platforms allow them to do that on a really large scale, whereas before them, you'd have to go out and preach on the street or do something like that.
Yeah.
So it's just so easy for everybody to have a voice now, really a voice, and it's contagious and addictive, I think. So I don't think it'll ever go away. I mean, in my field, artificial intelligence is pretty great. Like, we have diagnostic technology and gastroenterology, so artificial intelligence that's being developed is able to find disease and assist and aid the physician in visualizing things. So that's great. Artificial intelligence, the 3D printing thing that you mentioned with the surgeon remotely kind of coaching surgeons through, attacking the surgery through a 3D printed model first to practice. I mean, that's amazing, right? There are all kinds of robotics things that use artificial intelligence and training tools and things like that. So there's two types of artificial, there's like the good artificial intelligence and the bad artificial intelligence. So it's like a matter of which do you want to participate in or be a part of. And for me, I have a choice. So it's kind of unique.
Well, folks, we are out of time. We went a little bit over, but that's what happens when conversation gets good. This is great subject matter. So Ron, thank you for making it. It's great to have you back up here.
Thank you.
And Adam, great to see you up here. Thanks for sharing what iPreCheck does.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, definitely, man. And let us know how we can help, we can assist. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go, and then I'm just going to spend about 3 minutes, folks, just wrapping things up. So, good day to you both. Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, so Adam Thrasher and Ron Sandell, and you saw me. I had Ron's Substack up, and I should take a moment to show something kind of cool. So, and then I'll wrap up. I'll be about 3 minutes here. If you go up to auto conversion, do I have my screen shared? I do. Okay. If you go up to autoconversion.net right there, and you'll see activate your AC Pro license today. And for as little as $25 a month, you ready for this? You can have access to all of this technology right here, not meaning you have to manage it, but you're going to, your business, your brand, your personal brand or your business, commercially or non-commercially, can benefit from all of these technologies. I was showing you how we use Slack as the asynchronous technology for our private digital community. We use StreamYard to do our shows. So you can see how I do the shows. We break them up into different segments. Well, if you have an idea, if you have a relationship with, maybe a strategic partner, you heard me mention how you can use private digital communities to connect customers, employees, and I like to throw strategic partners in there. Bring them onto the show, invite them onto the show, come and have a conversation with them like you just saw me do. Because what we're going to do is there's networking there. You're meeting people and you're learning. And as you heard Ron talk about, why do people go to social media? Because they feel like they have a voice and it can be amplified and they can be heard. Okay, well, if that's how you feel when you make a Facebook post, then great. But I would love to see you come up here and have a conversation so we can get something substantiative. I don't even know the word, substantial, on tape, on recording, and then we can really amplify it because you have something great to say. We just need to capture it, and then we can get it out there through podcasts, through videos. I'll mention up here, if you go right here under podcasts, you'll see our podcast listed right here, the AutoConverse podcast. This is a weekly episodal podcast that focuses on how we are connected and the way we get around. And we're looking at technologies and industries and developments and policy. We're not getting into politics, but we're getting into policy. We'll take pieces of this recording here today and feature them on the podcast. So if you're looking to get amplified and looking to get your voice heard from a professional or from a business or even a commercial standpoint, then head on over to autoconversion.net. And here's what you want to do. Look under the membership membership menu and look for all masterminds. You can sign up for any one of these for free. Give it a second to load. You can sign up for multiple, but here's the deal. Once you're signed up for one, any email you receive from us, there will be a link in the email that'll say, update your preferences. And you can add yourself and remove yourself from these groups on your own. And then when you become a premium member, again, for as little as $25 a month, then you get access to our Slack network that I had up here, which I don't know how I'm going to go find it at this point because it is somewhere. And on top of that, let me go here to our programming. We have all those groups you saw there. Most of them meet at least once a month on Clubhouse. They also meet once a month privately in Slack as a roundtable. And that's for each group. Look, B2B marketing, crypto, and then here's audio video pros. If you want to get into blogging, streaming, podcasting, video marketing, these are all multiple touch points. So we don't expect you to be at every single one of these every single month. I am, that's my job. But you have at least 2 touch points around each aspect of your business, from operations to executive planning to blockchain and crypto to audio and video and marketing and sales. You have access to coaches like Ron through our program for as little as $25 a month, all accessible to you. So head on over to autoconversion.net, sign up for just one and get started for free. And then just that'll make you a VIP member and we'll give you the VIP treatment. I am Ryan Girardi. Thanks again, everyone, for tuning in to this episode of B2B Hour. We do this once a month, live stream. And then like you saw, I have a podcast. And so we have another show. We have our tech show that we do that once a month. So every 2 weeks, we got a show going on. And again, you can get up here and get part of the action, and you can get yourself a streamlined turnkey content marketing machine, literally for as little as $25 a month. Thanks for tuning in. I'm signing off for now. Have a great rest of your day, great rest of your week, and we will see you next month. And be sure to text the keyword auto conversion to, let me put it up there, 855-766-7585. We'll send you a link to our YouTube, and you'll be opted in and you'll be part of the community. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good one.